welcome to Friday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where you're going to have to bear with me today. I'm in a sorry old state. It's completely my own doing as well. I went to a big dinner in London last night to celebrate the 125th anniversary of something called the Oxford and Cambridge Golfing Society. And it was a very, very cool evening. Cool, no, that's the wrong word. Very, very good evening. But I did imbibe a little too much port, and I'm feeling very delicate today. As some of you who may have watched the earlier video realised, I did solve a Times crossword today. We've been trying to solve the Friday puzzle every week in the Times because it's such a beautiful puzzle normally, and I did do battle with it today, and it was indeed an absolutely brilliant puzzle. I am told by Roger Phillips, none other than the Listener crossword editor and an absolutely brilliant setter in the Listener as well, under the pseudonym Kia. So if you do like your cryptic crosswords hard, check out that video. I'll try and remember to put a link on the screen to it. But what am I going to be doing battle with Sudoku wise today? Well, it's a puzzle called Bismuth by Bellsita. Now, Bellsita, I think, made her debut on the channel just recently, and that was a beautiful puzzle, and I am told by the testers this is another masterpiece, an incredibly symmetrical grid I am seeing. Almost entirely rotationally symmetrical, except for slightly different positions of these blue lines and slightly different given digits, all of which are odd. But other than that, look, all of the Kropke dots are completely rotationally symmetrical. The grey squares in the corners. It's a very pretty looking grid. Now, I do not know why it's called Bismuth. Am I going to be showing my ignorance now by... Is this sort of what you get on an oscilloscope if you put bismuth, if you attach electrodes to the end of bismuth? I have no idea. What do I know about bismuth? I know it appears in Tom Lehrer's song, but I can't remember where. Bismuth, bromine, lithium, beryllium, and barium. Right, bismuth. Okay, so it's something like there's yttrium, ytterbium, actinium, rubidium, and boron, gadolinium, niobium, iridium, and strontium, and silicon, and silver, and samarium, and bismuth, bromine, lithium, beryllium, and barium. I can't remember if it then ends. These are the only ones of which the news has come to Harvard. There may be many others, but they haven't been discovered. Which reminds me that if you haven't checked out the Listener crossword video that we put on Patreon a couple of weeks ago, I think, and you like Tom Lehrer, you may want to watch that video, because it is it's redolent of certain things I might have mentioned already in this video. Anyway, let me get my head on straight. What else do I need to tell you about? Well, let's talk about Alice's Adventures in Sudoku Land. This is our Patreon reward for March. Loads of you have been enjoying that, and it is definitely approachable. We're so pleased with all the people who are trying to help. Well, they're trying to do the puzzles with their children and getting their kids into Sudoku. Very, very cool. And the following people have solved all 12 puzzles from that hunt, which is awesome work. So well done to Mark Dumont, Brennan Arsenault, who's responsible, by the way, for our outro music in normal videos, Karina Jaeger, Gareth Thomas, Stefan Winkel, Robbie Borchers, Logan Nydert, Marcel Helvig, Claude Petrie, Martin Chargot, Maximilian Kostler, Brendan Blackwell, Beyond Bork, Danny Davis, John Andrew McCulloch, Justin Dill, David C., and Eric Sanchez. Very well done, one and all. Fantastic solving. And now I'm going to try and tackle Bismuth by Bellsita. Here are the rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Cells separated by a black dot contain digits with a 1:2 ratio, i.e. one digit is double the other. So if this square here was a 2, this square would either be 1 because 2 is double 1, or it would be 4 because 4 is double 2. That's how black dots work. Cells separated by a white dot must contain consecutive digits. We have got an absolute flurry, almost a snowdrift of white dots today. So if this digit was a 2, this digit would have to be a 1 or a 3 in order to be consecutive with the 2. And then I think, oh, not all dots are given. Okay, so it's perfectly possible for those two digits, for example, to be consecutive. There doesn't have to be a white dot or a black dot between two cells that meet the condition. The grey squares contain even digits, so the corner digits there. So we get no 3s in the corner today. We get no 3s in the corner, so we're not going to have an REM song, even though we did have Tom and Lara's song. And digits along a blue line sum to the same value in each 3x3 box the line passes through. And then there's an example which we'll look at. So these are region sum lines, these blue lines. And the example tells us that those 3 cells, I want to say, those 3 cells there sum to the same. So you add these up and they sum to the same as those 3 cells. Let me just check there's no rinky dinks here. I think that's what it's telling me. And they add to the same as those 3 cells. Yeah. So as usual, so I don't know, I'm not going to try and do an example because I'll get it wrong in my state at the moment. But we add those 3 up, we'll find that they add to the same as those and also to the same as those. And that is how region sum lines work. Different lines may have different sums. Okay, well that's normal rules. So if the total for this one was 17, the total for this one could be 11. That would be work, i.e. those could add up to 11, those could add up to 11, those could add up to 11. Do have a go at the puzzle. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual, but now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Now, I suppose it's got to be the sort of oscilloscope lines, doesn't it? Am I being told to use the secret? Let me think about that. I haven't worked that out yet. Those squares and those squares add to the same number. We do know that. Right, so I know that those are odd. Right, so I know what parity that is. Okay, I've got something. Feel sorry for me and you know, give me a clap. The reason I know the parity of this digit is because there is a secret that I know. Now, I normally only tell my very favourite people the secret, but of course, if you're watching the video, you're definitely in that coterie. And the secret is that any complete row of a Sudoku, indeed any complete column, any complete 3x3 box, by the rules of Sudoku, contain the digits 1 to 9 once each. So, I can work out the total of the numbers 1 to 9 by adding them up. And if I add them up, I get 45. Now, so I know that that row adds to 45, but I also know that 2 lots of green must add up to 2 green, and 2 green is an even number. But we know the whole row adds up to an odd number. So those 3 cells there, they have to add up to an odd number in order to ensure that this row adds up to 45, because 45 is odd. Now, if those 3 add up to an odd number, but we know that those 3 digits are consecutive because of the Kropki dots, the white dots here, what do we know about this cell? Well, let's see. If that cell's an even number, this has to be consecutive with an even number, so that will be odd, and this has to be consecutive with an even number, so that will be odd, and then those 3 digits would add up to an even number, because that's what 2 odd numbers and an even number have to add up to, and that won't work, because the parity for the row is wrong. So that's got to be odd, those have got to be even. I normally use orange for odd digits, and blue for even digits, simply because, well, orange and odd begin with the same letter. And also I think these are quite good for colourblind folk, of which I am one. Can I do any better than that? I don't know. Those are divisible by 3. I know that as... Oh. So these 6 digits are divisible by 3. Does that tell me anything? Well, I suppose it limits what we could be putting in these cells. So this is just a touch more mathematics. These 3 digits are sequential. So we could express, imagine this middle digit, which is the central one of them. Imagine we call that x. Well, then one of these is x minus 1 and one of these is x plus 1 because they're a sequential set. And if I add x minus 1 to x plus 1, I get 3x. So those digits add up to a multiple of 3. The whole row adds up to 45, which is itself divisible by 3 exactly. Therefore, those 6 digits must be divisible by 3. But didn't we? Oh yeah, and we said that those 6 digits were also even, didn't we? Because we know that whatever that is, even if that's an odd number, we're adding an odd number together. So because these are the same, those 6 digits not only are divisible by 3, but they are divisible by 2. Therefore, they are divisible by 6, and therefore this is either. These digits are either adding up to... now, hang on, I've got to think about this, because I mustn't make these too big. I know this is odd. Oh, hang on. Hang on. Right, sorry. I realise this is restricted. I should have seen this immediately. I didn't. Blame my alcohol-addled brain. Right, that can't be 1 or 9. Because if this is, well, let's say this is 9, one of these digits is 8, let's make it that one. 8, 9, that will have to be a 10, that won't work. Similarly, if I put 1 in the middle, one of these is going to have to be 0. Right, so this is 3, 5, or 7. Oh, right, so I didn't need to do this maths, I don't think. Because if 3 is the middle digit, this will be 2, 3, 4, which add up to 9. Therefore, 45 minus 9 is 36, which will mean each green slug is worth 18, because we know that 2 green add up to 36, so green will add up to 18. Now if we do that, I don't really know what that means actually. Okay, let's have a look at 5 in the middle. If we put 5 in the middle, then we've got 4, 6 here. They're adding up to 15. So these add up to 30, and each slug of green adds up to 15. Don't really see what's wrong with that. And then if this is 7, we've got 6, 7, 8 into these 3 squares, which add up to 21, which means green adds up to 24, and each slug of green adds up to 12. So green individually either adds up to 12, 15, or 18. Okay. And sorry, I'm sure that some of you have just seen exactly why that's resolved in some direction or another. I have not seen why that is. Hang on a minute. I have seen, okay, this middle line doesn't work the same way because the dots go in a different direction, annoyingly. But that one's the same. This bottom oscilloscope line is the same. Because these have to be consecutive. So that means that digit is odd and that digit is 3, 5, or 7. These two are even. And these digits, which well, I'll use a different colour because these could very well have a different... Oh, well, in fact, they must have a different total, mustn't they? Because whatever goes in here is knocked out of here. So this line has a different sum to this line. Yeah, that must be right. That must be right. Okay, so let's have a closer think about this. So if that's a 3, this is going to be 2, 4, or 4, 2 in some order. And then 1 is going to be over here, look. And what did we work out the total was for if these add up to 9? These have to add up to 18, the greens. Right, so this would have to be 189 over here. This would be 189, And this would be 5, 6, 7. 189 here, 5, 6, 7, and that's almost... Well, it is sort of forced. You wouldn't know the exact order of the digits, but that would definitely be a 189 triple. And that would definitely be a 5, 6... I'm trying to see if there's something wrong with this. I don't know. I can't see what's wrong with that. Let's try 5 instead. So if we go 4, 5, 6 instead, what are we learning then? Then we know that these are adding up to... this doesn't work. I can't put 9 in the row. Where do I put 9 if this is 4, 5, 6? Each slug of green is worth 15 now. So if I want to put a 9 on the line, I'm going to need 6 more, which is either going to be 1, 5 or 2, 4, and I can't do it because none of that's available. Aha! Right, well that's beautiful. That's beautiful because now we know that's not 5. We know that's not 5. So we've got a 3, 7 pair here. We know that... Oh. No, I was going to say that we know one of these stripes. Well, I was going to say we know one of these is 189, but that's only because we've got the 1 here. Well, it's still sort of true, isn't it? If this was 2, 3, 4, it's still true to say I've got to put 1 on one side of the row. So I'm still going to have a 189 triple. I just don't know which side it will be. If this is the one that's got 3 in the middle, then I know that that's the 189 triple. Right, let's have a look at 7 in the middle then. So if we put 7 in the middle, what happens to the world? We've got 21 here. So these 6 cells add up to 24, which means each slug adds up to 12, which means one of them is 9, 1, 2, and again the 9 comes over there. So I think there's always... So on this line, on the top line, the 9 always lives over here. Because it's either 189 or it's 129. So the 1, okay, so the 1 and the 9 always live over here. But the accompanying digit is very, very far apart. It's either a 2 or an 8. That sort of feels like that's been very carefully designed though, doesn't it? Right, let's have the other thought I had though is what does this mean for these 2 cells? Because in this iteration I've got 12. Yes, I've got... okay. So in this iteration, where we've got 7 as this middle digit, because each green slug is worth 12, those digits add up to 12, which means these 2 digits add up to 5 without using 1. So those are a 2, 3 pair. Obviously this might be wrong though, because what we might have to do is move the 6, 7, 8 down there. What's going on down here then? If this is 3, this is 2, 4. And we've got 18 then, haven't we, with a 3 here. So these have to add up to 15. Oh, hang on. No. We don't have to worry about this nonsense. Oh, this is lovely. This is lovely. It's nothing to do with this. It's nothing to do with the yellow, these orange digits. It's to do with these digits. Those digits are 3 consecutive digits, but we don't know the order. We don't know which way round these go, but one of them's a 7, one of them's a 3, but that's 3 consecutive digits, so we can't put 1 and 2 here because we'd need a 3. We can't put 8 and 9 here, we'd need a 7, so we have to have the digits between 3 and 7. So this is 4, 5 and 6. That's got to do something. So if this was... If this is 6, 7, 8... Oh, this is wrong. This doesn't work. This, where we are now, where we are now is wrong, because I can't put 2 in this column. It doesn't go in. Because that's very pretty. That's very, very pretty. Right. So if you look at this column at the moment, if we do go with the 7 on the top, we've got 6, 7, 8 here, but we worked out those had to be a 2, 3 pair. Well, now I can't put 2 in the middle column, in these cells, and this 3 needs a 2, 4 pair on either side of it, so I can't put 2 in those cells either. There's nowhere for 2 in the column. So what we need to do is not have the 7 on the top. We've got to get rid of this, and we've got to put 7 down here. So these squares are a 6, 8 pair. That's obviously a 5 in the middle of the grid. Sorry, that's obviously obvious. It's got to be the middle digit of this string. That's got to be a 3. These have got to be a 2, 4 pair. Now, doesn't that become 1, 8, 9? Didn't we say that? We've got 9 here. We need 36 into those squares. 18 on this side. But the 1 is definitely over there. Yeah, so this is 1, 8, 9. This is 5, 6, 7. Oh, yeah, okay. And those squares have to add up to 15, which is... I don't know if that's doable, but it's either 6, 9 or 7, 8. And okay, I can't see how to do that. All right, but right, let's work out what we've got going on down here. We've got 7 now in one of those squares. 7 can't go on a black dot because this digit would have to be a 3.5 or a 14. 2 concepts so ridiculous. They should be a deregulator or whatever that was in The Simpsons. Okay, so we've got, right, so we've got 12 on each side here, haven't we? Which means one of them is 1, 2, 9 and the other is 3, 4, 5. And somehow or other we need to tell which way round they go. I don't know how to do that. And okay, and those cells are also not resolved now because we don't have the benefit of the 1 in the corner ruling out a 1, 4 pair. So these are either 1, 4 or 2, 3. Oh, how strange. Okay. Right, so now we're left to wrestle with something else. 5 in this box is now in one of 2 places, which means 5 is in one of 2 places there because 5 is not even. 5 down here is in one of 2 places. Okay. Oh dear, this is not good. I can't do this. What's going on? Do we... I don't know. I'd love to know if I can... One of these is 1, 2, 9, isn't it? So if this was over this side, that would be a 2, and this would be a 1, 9 pair. Is there some problem with that? I don't think so. I've got to put an odd digit on this white dot because it's obviously a consecutive pair. One of them will be even, one of them will be odd. So if I put 3 on there, it's either going with 2 or 4, just a bit like this one actually. But if I put 9 on here, then I've got to, oh, that's it. That's lovely. Okay, you can't put 9 on here, because if you put 9 on here, you've got to accompany it with 8, and then those 2 squares cannot add up to 30, it's 15, which we know they need to. So this has got a 3 on it. It's from 2, 3, and 4, and it's got a 3 on it. So now there's a 3 in one of these 2 squares. Now 3 could go on the black dot with a 6. Wow, I mean, that felt like that was going to be a deduction and a half, but maybe it's not. So now if we look at this box, you can see 8 and 9 have to find homes in these squares. And then, so in this configuration, we've got to put 8 and 9 up here. But we know that we can't put 8 and 9 in those two squares because they would add up to 17 and they're meant to add up to 15. And that means that little digit is an 8 or a 9. And that's probably important for some reason. But I don't know what that reason is. Oh dear. Come on, Simon. How are we going to do this puzzle? How are we going to make more progress? I would love to know. One of these is 3, 4, 5. One of these is 1, 2, 9. How on earth am I supposed to disambiguate that? 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 9. I don't know. I'm getting bogged down now. I'm starting to... I'm not sure it's the hangover that's doing it either. I just feel like I've run into a logical brick wall. And somehow or other we need to get ourselves unstuck. Could it be SUDOKU? That's often the point at which we need to think harder. I don't know, actually. I don't think so. Can I do something with 7 in the... Oh, 7 can't go on that black dot, can it? So 7's in one of 3 places. I don't think that's worth recording. 5. I don't know. Sorry about this. What could you be? Where is it that I'm meant to be appreciating the deductions? Maybe it's the given digit somehow that will help me. Maybe it's this one, but I don't know. I don't even know there's an 8 or a 9 in this square, so I don't think it's likely to be that one. This one, maybe it's this one. Although, oh, I see. Perhaps I can say something about this. I'm just thinking that those cells, obviously a bit like the greens and the purples, they have to add up to the same, each little stripe of yellow. So this is 2Z, let's call it 2Z, which means these add up to an odd number. Now that is odd, which means these two have the same parity. Now if they are even, they have to be 2, 8, look. Which... that would knock 8 out of these squares, so that would make that 6, 9. It would put a 6 in one of those cells. That's totally and utterly sensible. It would mean the total for the row would be, each one would be 15. Look, because that's 15. Minus 45 gives, well, 45 minus 15 gives 30, and these two are the same, so that each little string of this would have to add up to 15, which might be possible. Is that not possible for some reason? The 9 would have to go with... Couldn't go with 2s. Oh no, oh hang on, the 9 doesn't work. Oh, good grief, right. Well, this is interesting. So actually I was probably meant to look at this line. So I think the logic so far is sound. I've worked out these two had to have the same parity. But if they were both even, you can't put 9 in row 5 anymore, because 9 would have to go over here with either a 4-2 pair, which doesn't work, or a 1-5 pair, which doesn't work. So this is so this is weird. These two squares are both odd. Which actually I think is fairly useless now I come to think about it, because they're both odd. They're not 5. But they could be 1, 3, 7 or 9. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh, that's a Bobbins-worthy moment. Okay. Right, let's have another think. Let's go back to the drawing board. 1, 2, 8 and 9. Right, maybe that square there can't be 2, so that's got to be 1, 8 or 9. These squares here have got to be 1, 2 or 9. So they can't be a 1, 2 pair. Oh, that's it. Good grief. Oh, hang on. This must be wrong. It seems like it's just Sudoku on this column. Why couldn't I see this before? I've got those digits. I've got 1, 2, 8 and 9 to place. Oh, yeah, no, it is. It's really simple. It's really simple. What I have to do is go back to this whole question of where 2 goes in column 5. Now, 2 can't go in those squares or these squares, so 2 is definitely one of those squares. But remember, those squares had to add up to 5, which now must not involve a 2. So that's a 1, 4 pair, which knocks 1 out of these squares, gives me a 2, 9 pair down here, gives me an 8 up here, and a 1, and that 8 is massive because it gets rid of the 7, 8 option in these 2 squares, so they become 6 and 9. That square is even, and it's not 6 and it's not 8, so it's the opposite digit that goes on this white dot. That's got to be a 2 or a 4, which means these squares are known. Well, when I say known, they're a 5, 7 pair, which means I don't know if we know those, but I'm coming back here first of all. Those squares we do know, don't we? They have got to be 5 and 7 again. Okay, 5 and 7. Right. Okay. So has this helped? Is the next question. Okay, down there, I know what those digits are. Those digits are 3 and 5, apparently. Okay, right, that's interesting. Now this little white dot has got to have an odd digit on it, which is either a 1, it's an extreme digit, it's a 1 or a 9. So this is either 1, 2 or 9, 8 on this dot. It's beautiful. Good grief. Right. And actually the puzzle is beautiful. As I've shaded it, I think it's beautiful. But look, the we worked out one of the purple slugs was 1, 2, 9, because we've got to make this line add up to 12 all the way along it. So those are 12, those are 12, those are 12. Well, if we put 1, 2, 9 here now, that white dot becomes impossible. So this is 1, 2, 9, and 1 and 9 mean that's actually just a 2. It's a given 2 in the grid. Well, actually, when I say given, that is not what that was. It was hard earned. These squares are 3, 4, 5 triple. So that's not 3. Which I feel should do something. But maybe it doesn't. Oh, no. Right, look. 3 and 5 in this box are now interesting, because that's a 3, 5, 7 triple. And only one of these dots can go on a black dot, because you can't put 5 there. It would be a 2.5 or a 10 in that square. We've already thought about whether that could be a 7. So that is a 3, and that's going to give me some digits, I think, in the sense that that digit is now a 6, that digit's a 6, that digit's a 4. Now, how has that helped with the world? I don't know. There is a 6 over here, but I don't know what this line adds up to yet, do I? Rather annoyingly. Some Sudoku. Oh, 3 by Sudoku. It's got to go there. Remember that dot had to have a 3 on it, so that's got to be a 3. This is a 3 on the line over there. Now 3 comes out of my odd digits in the middle. 3 is in one of, whoopsie, 3 is in one of these squares. If that's a 3, that's got to be a 2 or a 4, which it would have to be a 2 actually. So if that's a 3, that is a 2. Oh, look, that's worth pencil marking, because if that's a 3, that's a 2. But if that's the only way this can be a 2, isn't it? Or is that wrong? Could that be a 1? Oh, I'm just wrong. I'm just talking absolute gibberish. Okay, forget that. For some reason, I was thinking I could limit this in terms of the even parity digit that was on it, but I don't think that's true. Okay, well, let's have a look at those digits then. At the bottom of the grid, we've got 4, 6, and 8. They're all even, so that one's not restricted. Oh, but if that's 4, 6, 8, that's not 8, 9. So that's a 1, 2 pair. That's a 9. That's a 2. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are 6, 8, 9. One of which is on this little line. So those two digits either add up to 6, 8, or 9. 6 is mildly tricky. It would have to be a 1, 5 pair. 8 would have to be a 1, 7 pair, because it couldn't be 3, 5, or 2, 6. 9 would have to be 1, 8, or 2, 7 maybe. Ah, okay, that's annoying. Right. Okay, so what do we do now? Do we do these ones? We can at least limit now the possibilities for the yellow totals. Because if that's a 1, 7 pair, 1 plus 7 plus 5 is 13, which means that all the yellow digits together add up to 32, which means that those cells add up to 16 and those cells add up to 16. And that does not work. Right, there is a 9 in here, because if we did that, if we go with 1, 7 here, those two cells have to add up to 13 by maths, but they couldn't be 4, 9, couldn't be 5, 8, and there's a 7 in there, so they couldn't be 6, 7, and a 6 here. So there's a 9 definitely in here. Right, let's go to the other extreme. If it was 9, 7, 5, does that work? So 9, 7, 5 here is 21. These add up to 24, so these add up to 12. So these add up to 9. Why is that? That doesn't look difficult at all. Well, hang on. You've got to put 8. You've got to put 8 in the row then still, haven't you? So you'd have to have 8, 1, 3, because you couldn't use 9. So this would have to be a 1, 8 pair. Why is that wrong? So if this was a 1, 8 pair, this would be 2, 4, 6. Oh, I don't know. That might be possible. Oh, bobbins. Okay. Alright, so maybe we can get rid of the other option. I thought that we were going to be able to get rid of the two extreme options, but the other option then is 1, 9 for these squares. So if these are 1, 9, 1 plus 9 plus 5 is 15. I thought we proved 15 didn't work. Oh, we proved 15 didn't work if this was a 2, 8 pair, didn't we? maybe it works if it's a 1-9 pair. If that's a 1-9 pair, these have to add up to 15. So these have to add up to 12, which would mean they would have to be 4-8. Which feels like that works, doesn't it? So this is either... Is there 8 always on this type? I think there 8 is always in these two squares, because it's either a 1-3-8, isn't it? That was one of the options. 1-8 here. Or it's 4-8 here. But there's definitely an 8 in this domino. But I don't think I know which way round it goes. I know there's a 9 in one of these. Oh, 9. Let's do some Sudoku. 9 can't go on a black dot. Oh, look. Oh, good grief. Hang on, this might do some stuff. Because if that's a 9, that's an 8. So that's an 8 and that's a 6. Oh my goodness, the middle. Is it... The 9 goes there in the middle box. Can we get rid of... If we can sort this digit out, we're going to know what those two digits are. Hang on. This must be resolved somehow. Hang on. That's not a 3 anymore, because that would cause that to be a 6. So that's a 3. So that's a 3. I feel like we've got a lot of 3s in the grid. Ah, bobbins, we can't get this last 3 sorted out. It's one of those two, isn't it? It's going to be resolved by this dot. Maybe this can't be a 3 for some reason. That would make that a 2. So that would make that a 2, which would make this 15. But 15 was one of the options I thought might work. Okay. What about... What are the options for these squares then? 6. I've not put 6 into this box. 6 can't go there. That will be a 3. So 6 goes here. Sorry, so that's a 2 or a 4. This square's not a 1. That's going to... Because if it goes 2, 1, that breaks that square. So it's not a 1. So it's a 2, a 4, or an 8. And it's not an 8 because of this. So this is a 2, 4 pair. Good grief. So this is 1, this is 2. That 6 is knocking a 6 out of this square. And that square. 2, 4 here. Oh, come on. It must be close to cracking. That digit is now at least a 5. That can't be a 1. That doesn't stop this being a 1, though, so this could, in theory, still be a 6, I think. Right. Oh no, I have a horrible feeling the whole of the middle is resolved here by Sudoku, and I'm just not seeing it. Don't shout at me too loudly, please. It will hurt my head. What about... What could it be? Where are the obvious weaknesses now in the puzzle? I don't know. I'm desperately scanning. Is there some option here that's now been ruled out based off what these numbers are? So if this was 795 adding up to 21, this would be 12, which would be 318. Yeah, that doesn't work, does it? Good grief, it's this cell that breaks. This is incredibly cleverly put together. Right, if we do this, the problem with this being 7 is that those 3 digits are all even. They are 2, 4 and 6, and that square has no option at all. I think there might have been a more elegant way of seeing that earlier on. It feels like a parity deduction to me. But I don't know what that cleverer way is, and my brain is positively resisting me analysing that. So I think what we now know is this isn't 7. We know that's 1, so we know that this becomes 4, 8, which means we're looking at 15 totals. So these squares have to add up to 15, and they've got to be 2, 6, 7 now. And if that's 2, 6, 7, look, well, that's a naked single. That's a 2, which is going to be lovely. That means this is a 4, this is a 2, that's 4 in the corner. 2 goes over here. We've now got... Have we got anything good? Well, we know what those squares are now. Oh, goodness, they still include my 1s and 5s. 1, 5 and 8 into these squares. Right, look, this dot now needs an even digit on it, and we now can tell that that must be a 2. And it can't go with a 1 because the 1's there. So this is a 2, 3 pair, and the only place the 3 can go is here. So 3 and 2 go into the grid. This square here is now a 7. That square there is now a 2. That does the 2 and the 4 and the 1. Okay, so this must be fixed now. 3 and 5, 5 and 7, and the central sort of stacks are figured out. Now, there must be a 1 on this line because it can't add up to 13 because this cell can't be a 13, so that's not a 1. That's a 5. That's an 8. That's a 9. That's a 1, therefore. Get an 8, 9 pair here. The 8... Oh, so this does become 1, 5, adding up to 6. That becomes an 8. 8, 9. That's a 4. This should be done now. I just need to figure out where the digit is that we can resolve all these pairs with. 6, 7, 7, 5, 5, 1. All done on that side. And finally, oh, it's probably this line we're going to need to use. 1, 5 and 7. Okay, well, let's put that in. That can't be 5, 7, so there must be a 1 on the line. So it's either adding up to 6, which it's not because of that digit, so it's a 1, 7 pair, adding up to 8. Which means this is a 5, that's a 5, that's a 7, that's a 5, that's a 7, that's a 6. Aha! Ha 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 ha, that's a 7, that's a 1, that's a 1, that's a 9, that's an 8, that's a 4. This is a 6. 4 and 8 go into these squares, so we can do the 8 in the corner. We can do the 4 here. We know there's a 9 there. And finally, last but not least, we get a 4 in the grid. What a brilliant puzzle. That was brilliant. That was very, very interesting. There's an awful lot of sort of, I want to say basic maths, but it felt quite complicated at times. And spotting all these little interactions that allow you to pick up how each of these oscilloscope lines is resolved is very, very clever. It's a remarkably good puzzle. You can feel how much care and attention. I mean, even that dot and the interaction with that dot, which was quite late on, I noticed. Knocking out a 1-2 pair from here, that was very pretty. Yeah, but the stunning stuff is all around. Yeah, it was all around those 2 cells. Then where 2 went here. And that was beautiful. There was a beautiful idea around the parity of those 2 squares as well. That was it was just really interesting. Bellsita again, just a fabulous, fabulous setter. Let me know how you got on in the comments. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.